and welcome to the latest episode of Lights Up, the podcast of Putney Theatre Company. I am delighted to say I'm joined here by three cast members of Flare Path, our first production of our autumn-winter season. I'm joined by the delicious Guy Robarts, the fabulous Theo Leonard, and the beautiful Bugg Leonard. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hello there.
Well, hello. Now, Guy, you were last seen in Putney in Sense and Sensibility, I seem to recall.
That is correct.
As the gorgeously aloof footman. I have to say
That's right,
the scene changes orchestrated by yourself were one of my highlights.
Thank
and
you.
also Country Bumpkin.
Yes,
Was he called Peter? Who was?
I can't remember, my dear.
Oh, but that voice, there we are. We're straight in the countryside of Sense and Sensibility. Back we are. Well, welcome back, my darling.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming back and
It's a
gracing
pleasure.
us with your presence. And Theo, you were last seen on stage in, I'm going to say, Killology. Am I correct?
Yes, well remembered.
Well,
I
you
was going to
see?
say Pride and Prejudice.
Well, that's why they pay me the big bucks, my friend. But last seen directing Lovely Bones, our
Earlier
production
this year.
in April.
Yeah.
And Emma, my darling, last seen in Sense and Sensibility. But I can see we
Guy.
have a little theme here.
We do. We
Playing
don't.
the-
It's in
Yes.
our contract now. We don't do shows without each other.
Emma only had a minor part in that.
Very tiny. I mean, blink and you would have missed her,
Yes,
wouldn't you?
It's really all about me.
I
Yeah.
was being horribly upstage every scene. By Guy.
By the aloof footman.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're all reunited for Flare Path. Now, actually, little fact for our listener here: Theo and Emma actually met. Is it last time you were on stage?
Yeah.
Is it really 12 years
Yeah.
ago? In another Ian Higham extravaganza, The Winslow Boy.
Also by
Yeah.
Terence Rattigan.
Oh, shush.
Yeah.
At Putney Arts Theatre. So.
Is that also in your rider? You can only actually be on stage
Yeah.
if it's a Rattigan.
But every 12 years.
every 12
Yeah.
years.
In that one we were playing brother and sister, and in this one we're playing husband and wife.
So
So
we've
we've
upgraded.
progressed.
Hey.
And that's a true life husband and wife playing husband and wife on stage. How's that, Emma?
No, it's lovely. It's so nice. It's really good to be back on stage together because, well, I think we waited 12 years for that reason. We were like, oh, never again. And now we are. It's actually really sweet.
Yes, although we are husband and wife with a third party involved.
Well, exactly. The third
Yes,
person
it
in the
all goes
room.
Dun 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 dun.
So, Guy, you play Hollywood star Peter Kyle.
I do.
Now, tell us about the sort of how is this love triangle? So, let's just give a bit of context for our
Well,
listener.
yes.
It's set in an hotel, and you play Flight Lieutenant Graham,
Yes.
Teddy to his friends.
Yes.
Do you all stay there during, because you're doing raids, it says in the Second World War, you're all Wellington Bomber.
That's right, and it's
Air
right
crew.
next to the aerodrome.
Right.
So all the wives hang out in the hotel, and then when the bombers have finished their raids, they decamp to the hotel to get pissed and see their wives. Basically.
And meanwhile, the wives are slowly getting drunk on pink
Yeah.
gin.
That sounds
Good life.
fabulous to me. Although perhaps not the sort of air raids. So you're there waiting for husband to come back in the hotel, and then Mr. Kyle pops up. Now, what's your reasoning for coming, my dear?
Well, without giving too much of the plot away, it's to try and regain my love affair with a certain Patricia Warren.
Played by the delightful Emma Bugg Leonard.
Indeed. So I arrive quite unexpectedly and cause all sorts of chaos.
So your relationship has come to an end, but are you wanting to reconcile? Is that the...
Very much wanting to reconcile. I mean, it's a relationship that never quite finished the way it should have done. It's happened on the other side of the Atlantic.
Of course, because you're in
In
Hollywood.
the glamorous Hollywood, in Beverly Hills.
And are you a very successful actor in Hollywood?
Extremely successful.
The Brad Pitt of its day.
Not quite. Basically, the character is described as having faded looks and career.
So now, how long ago did your relationship end? Do you know?
Yeah, about a year.
Oh, okay. So it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like 10 years ago.
No. There has been some rekindling, which is
We had
the
met in-
naughty side of things. Yeah, we've been in London together.
Whilst you've
Having-
been married to
yes,
Teddy.
unfortunately.
Have you? I didn't know that.
Sorry to break it
Well,
to
you weren't meant to know that.
Thought you hadn't
so
seen
that's
each
fine.
other.
You weren't in those scenes.
Yeah, you were.
So you've actually
might-
been cheating on me.
I'm afraid so.
Oh, this is a whole new
accidentally-
It's a
take.
game changer.
Yeah.
We accidentally bumped into each other in London. I think made the decision mutual decision that you were going to perhaps leave your husband.
Yes.
Poor old Teddy.
Because I never fell out of love with Peter.
So now the question that we all need to ask is, why on earth? I mean, Teddy is obviously delightful and gorgeous, and we'll talk about him in a second. But why on earth are you going to leave your husband for the faded Hollywood star that is Peter Kyle?
Because one is a very polite, safe, sweet relationship, and the other is very passionate and fiery.
Ah, I see where you're going here.
So
and Patricia is an actress as well,
she's
isn't
an
she?
actress. She likes it fiery.
She likes the drama.
She does.
Oh, so poor Teddy, completely oblivious, as in life. We've just
totally
found out.
oblivious. The poor sod, he's
Has
going
no
out every
idea.
night risking his life, trying to win the war, and little does he know. They've only just got married though, you see, so they don't really know each other very well. So this is the thing. So Peter has a much deeper relationship. They go back years. And then she's sort of quickly got married to Teddy and she doesn't really know him.
Was it a bit of a whirlwind?
Whirlwind.
Rebound, I'm thinking.
It was, and also she wanted to be married, and so having met.
So what we were saying is about the rebound.
Whirlwind romance.
That's-
Whirlwind romance.
Yes. So, and you wanted to be married.
Yes, Patricia very much wanted to be married, but Peter was already married. There's a hell of a lot of affairs going on.
Oh
It's
my
very
God,
messy.
so-
It's a
Dear
homebreaking
Peter.
going on here.
I mean,
I know.
outrageous behaviour.
Well, quite normal within showbiz circles.
Yeah.
But it's set in 1942, isn't it? So I'm thinking,
I think at that time, especially in the war, as I understand, a lot of relationships would happen very quickly because no one was sure how long they were going to live.
yes, it's
So
very much
everything
life on
was
the
very
edge.
intense and passionate and dangerous, and this is another example of that.
That's actually very true, isn't it? Because I think if you guys met quite quickly and got married very quickly, and you wanted to be married,
Yeah.
how did Teddy feel about this? Do you think Teddy really wanted to be married, or just went along with it, or
Yeah, I think he's like a little Labrador, he just loves it.
he's like a little
just
Labrador
happy,
puppy?
happy
He
as
has
a clam. Yeah.
He's terribly, terribly nice.
Yeah. But you say that like it's a bad thing.
No, it's lovely.
So Teddy,
he's
let's
lovely.
talk
Yeah.
about Teddy. So Teddy is, how many flights has he flown?
So he's done, I think, 17, which isn't very many. Obviously, every flight you've got a pretty good chance maybe you won't come back. But I think they've got to do about 30
Yeah, that's what I
before
heard.
they get to have a rest. So they're not every night, but every couple of nights have to do a flight. So yeah, it must be pretty stressful. Must have been pretty stressful. Guy, you were there. You can.
Ouch!
Well, I wasn't, but my grandfather and great uncle both flew Hurricanes
Wow.
in the Second World
Did
War.
they really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and they both lived to tell the tale. I think one of my fun facts was that I always wanted to be a pilot, but couldn't because I was too stupid. Couldn't add up. And blind as a bat. So it's
Well,
not,
that
very,
doesn't
not very
help.
good in
No,
a combat
yeah.
situation.
Did you ever talk to them about their experiences
Not
flying?
much,
no,
no,
they
no,
didn't want to talk
no.
about
Yeah,
it.
typically they.
But this is
kept
very
quiet.
much a theme of the play, isn't it? It's Rattigan's true
Yeah.
brilliance of how he writes is that in this era you didn't wear your emotions on your sleeve. It was very much a case of
Yes.
suppressing that
Yeah.
and only showing the veneer, the facade that you wanted other people to see. And I think this is in particular with Teddy and with Patricia. So with
It's all
Teddy,
very stiff upper lip, isn't it?
absolutely. And now, dear listener, I did actually see her about 3 weeks ago, which was phenomenal. They were already all off book. It was quite extraordinary. And I did notice with Teddy, you have that sort of bravado as being a pilot, that's the mission, he's
Yeah.
going off. There's
Yeah.
no, when you say goodbye to each other, when you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
about to go on a raid.
It's awfully cold, isn't
It's
it? It's
very
like
cold.
cheerio.
Yeah, see ya!
It's very polite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
sweet little polite kiss, and off you go to
Yeah.
maybe never come back.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you think Patricia would much rather Teddy just
Die.
wept into his... I wasn't going to say
So she
die.
can go off with Peter.
I was going to say, would he... Does Patricia, do you think, want him to be far more demonstrable in his emotions? Or do you think that would just terrify her?
I'm sure she would appreciate that if they knew each other a bit better than they do. But unfortunately, I think her mind is just so preoccupied with Peter that she's not really paying him much attention. She's kind of planning on ending it. And
And
you
she
know,
really thinks that's her decision.
Yeah.
And she's going to go.
Yeah.
And then what changes her mind without giving too much away?
Ooh, that's hard.
It is difficult to
That
answer.
is difficult to answer. That is kind of the major part of the plot.
Oops, sorry.
The other thing about this one is it was actually performed during the war. I think it was on in 1941, and I actually didn't realise theatre kept going during the war, but evidently
Well, it did, but it wasn't the kind of play that they wanted to put on. They were surprised that it was a success because everyone wanted to, a subject to escape from the war, whereas this dealt with the war, but it was remarkably popular.
So they wanted sort of comedies during the war and
Yeah,
fast
exactly, yeah,
musical
yeah.
entertainment. And this is very moving. It is very emotional, but it is also deeply funny. You have some absolutely
some of the
brilliant
characters are
characters.
brilliant,
You've got
yeah.
Dusty, who's your
Brilliant.
tail gunner.
Yeah.
Hilarious, played by gorgeous Jacob Smith. And you've got Maudie, who I generally want to be friends with Maudie, played by Lizzie Ardell brilliantly. Who has the best lines? Sorry, guys, but she does have the best lines. You've got Lois playing Doris.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got Megan playing Mrs. Oakes, who runs the hotel. And also Zach, who was last seen in Box Set, playing Percy, the waiter.
And the wonderful new member, Martin, who's
he's
playing
so
an absolute dreamboat Polish squadron bomber guy.
They are
Brilliant.
all cruel upstagers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Serves you
And
right
that's
payback.
And that's
Yeah.
just the set,
Yeah.
which is being built as we speak, which looks, oh my God, it looks
Oh, that's
fantastic,
so
doesn't
good.
it?
Yeah.
And we mustn't forget Silver Fox Paul Bradley as well.
Who
Of
plays,
course not.
well, his name isn't Gloria, but you called him Gloria
Yes,
Swanson, because
yes.
you're so funny, Teddy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Teddy's got banter.
Oh, he has got the pants. So, Peter, you come to the hotel, you're going to win Patricia back,
Of course.
and then Spanner in the works.
Yes.
And I'm assuming the Spanner in the works really is because you were called off to do an air raid, aren't you? And so you have
That's
to
where
say,
it begins, yeah.
yeah, that's
where it
the
begins.
tension.
Yeah.
So it's all larks aplenty until you get the call up and you've all got to go. And then we see the high emotions of the women who are left behind. It must have been harrowing.
Yeah, but they're all trying to pretend that it's not happening, if you see what I mean. They're all trying to repress it, and everyone's like, oh, it's fine, let's just have coffee and just talk normally. And it's
You say coffee, Emma, but it's pink gin, isn't it? Let's be brutally honest.
for me, it's pink gin, absolutely.
Keep calm and carry on.
Exactly.
That's
But I think Patricia finds that particularly hard, and she does say at certain moments, probably the actress in her, oh, for God's sake, why can't we just be honest about how we're feeling? But nobody else behaves like that, so she can't.
And do you think she is very much acting when she as Teddy's wife?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I think she's got an angst from the very beginning of the play to the end of the play that she's covering in this massive performance to pretty much everybody, because she can't be honest with anybody at all, really.
That's very hard for her. What's
Yeah.
it like playing a woman that's...
Really fun to play though. So much going on. There's so many different things you've got to attempt to show, which is really hard.
without
But it's
saying
fun.
them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of emotion that's deeply suppressed, but at the same time, you've got to get the audience on your side.
Yeah, because we could be very dislikable characters.
Especially me, yeah.
Well, you do sort of blow in trying to steal someone else's wife. I'm not going to sit here and say, excellent,
Yeah.
well done.
But typical of an actor, I suppose, incredibly self-obsessed, emotionally underdeveloped.
Was it hard for you to find that?
No,
You're very good at it.
it's a
Very good.
breeze.
But Teddy, darling Teddy. Teddy really is a Labrador puppy, isn't he? Just bounds in.
Yep, rolls over, wants
Woof,
a rub on
woof.
the belly. Where's the tennis ball when I need it?
Oh, his needs are little and few. But he really is I think he's the glue, really, because he has to have that terribly stiff upper lip, whilst also cajoling the rest of his
Yes.
crew. So
Yeah.
Dusty, who's your tail gunner, who's in a perilous position.
Yeah, and like all of these guys, they're like the officer class. He's super young, and so he's not very experienced. And he's got these guys in his crew who, I mean, some of them are 10 years older than him, but he's in charge and he's got to tell them what to do. So quite wet behind the ears. And so Paul's character Gloria is his sort of father figure, I think, who he kind of leans on for a bit of guidance. Love it.
What's you loving most about
my God,
Teddy?
I love it.
The Tedster.
The Tedster. I mean, I just like, he's got a lot of energy. It's always good. And I like how sort of all over the place he is. I don't know. Yeah, it's fun. I'm looking forward to putting on the RAF uniform.
Well, that's it. It's going to take a whole new level,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It's
'Cause I've
going to
just
be
seen
very
you.
dashing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I've
The
seen you
ladies are going to love him.
in your civvies, but now you get to all be in uniform.
Yeah, and there's all sort of that, they're swilling beer all the way through. He seems to drink at an incredible rate, Teddy, in the stage directions. It's like he's constantly
Between
asking
you and
for a
I,
new
that's
pint.
it.
It's unbelievable.
Well, do you not think that's masking something in the
Probably.
relationship here, my friends? You know.
Probably.
Gone wrong.
And of course, I'm assuming that the costumes are absolutely amazing because the maestro himself, Mr. Simon Crump,
Very lucky.
is our costume designer for this. And so the attention to detail will be off the scale. Now, we ought to really talk about sort of Rattigan's writing. So he wrote this whilst he himself was a tail gunner.
That's right.
Which is extraordinary. So his experiences are very much...
In fact, one of the early drafts he nearly lost because he was flying back, I think, from Spain, and one of the engines blew out on whatever bomber he was on. And they had to start jettisoning, heavy stuff and personal items. And he almost threw away the original manuscript, but he managed just at the last moment to stuff it in his jumpsuit and save the day, and that's why we are here today.
Wow.
Great story. You should have written a play about that.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. What I find really interesting, though, is that I think he underplays the role of the tail gunner. So Dusty, who's playing it, which is possibly, I'm assuming, is the most dangerous position to be. But that sort of high-stakes, perilous position isn't really ever mentioned. I mean,
no,
Dusty
they
just
talk a
kind of
little
goes...
bit about how uncomfortable it is.
And cold.
You have to be like you're at the bottom of the plane and you're sort of hunched over for maybe 4 hours. So there's a little bit about that. But yeah, you're right. He doesn't talk too much about the danger. And the character who plays the tail gunner, Dusty, is very funny. He's a very kind of positive guy, a bit like Teddy. He comes on, doesn't really... doesn't question what he's doing. He seems quite cheerful.
But I think that's the whole sort of themes of the play, though, isn't it? It's the veneer. It's the real sort of drama and the feelings and the emotional turmoil that you have that you just push down. And then the face that you give everybody is stiff upper lip, everything's fine, nothing to see here, chucks away, off we go, let's go and bomb the Germans, hurrah, attitude. But in reality, you're left with, I think, quite fragile and vulnerable people as a result.
Absolutely. The other thing I think he covers a little bit is the sort of class distinctions and how war subverts a lot of that, obviously. So Maudie and Dusty are from more of a working class background. They live in the East End of London, and so when she's talking to Emma's character Patricia, who's much more upper class, it's interesting. Maudie is she's being blitzed every night and Patricia is avoiding that, so those sorts of things are quite interesting to see those characters talk.
And also how they interact when they meet.
Totally, yeah.
Because you're, even as an actress, you're sort of very, oh, hello.
She's so polite. I think she just puts on the performance. I mean, not that she's not actually polite and nice, but she always does live up to those standards.
But you think that there's that pecking order, though, isn't it?
Yeah, there is the pecking order. But I don't think she treats them as any different, really, in that situation when they're all in this bubble together in this hotel. It's all very polite. I'm waiting on her, actually. I'm like, can I get you a coffee? Can I do this? Are you comfortable? Do you want to come by the fire?
And what about Doris? What's Doris's role? So Doris, played by the lovely Lois Saville, and she is married to Count, one of your flying crew. And what's her? Why is she at the hotel the same reason as you are? But I feel that she's there all the time, whereas I feel that Patricia probably is only just there.
She's only just
occasionally.
Yeah. This is her first time visiting, I think. But very much Doris's domain, isn't it?
Yeah, she's a former barmaid, and she's kind of back to the sort of class thing. She's married above her station a little bit because he's an actual count from Poland, and so she's now become a countess, even though she's a sort of working class person. And I think Peter in particular finds that slightly...
He makes a blunder.
Yes, I
He can't
managed
get his
to
head
offend
around that.
Yes.
Oh, well done.
I managed to offend her, and we have a little bit of a standoff, but it's all fine in the end.
But they must be in awe meeting you, though, my darling. This famous Hollywood star coming to their
Some
small
are.
little hotel. So who do you think is in awe of you?
Well, Doris.
Yes.
Certainly is, because she's actually seen my films. Mrs. Oakes, who runs the hotel, has a very disdainful approach towards me,
To
which
actors
I'm
in
obviously
general,
not used to at all, and a necessary one.
Yeah.
As we're in a war situation, and he's just, as a US citizen, he's just been by the pool.
Sunning himself.
Yeah.
And the war is far away. So, favourite line from the play? Doesn't have to be yours. I can tell you what mine is. Tinkety tonk.
Tickety tonk.
Come on. I'm gonna start saying that all the time now.
I think my favourite line's been cut.
Okay.
It was so good it was cut.
Stone me up an apple.
Stone me up an apple. Nice. Theo?
You've just stolen mine. I was going to do
No,
that.
no,
So
it's a good
Stone me up
line.
an apple.
Sorry, guys.
So in tune. Well, Guy, have you thought of ours?
It's got to be Tinkety Tonk as well.
It's
I'm sorry
so
about
brilliant. I genuinely
that. So I've
burst out
never heard
laughing.
that word before.
It's absolutely brilliant. Now, if you want to find out when Tinkety Tonk is actually said in the play, you have to buy your ticket. So go to the website www.putneyartstheatre.org.uk. It's from the 24th to the 28th of September, 7:45pm, plus the matinee on the Saturday at 3pm. I can't wait to see it in its finality. I saw the run through, and as I said, and I was blown away, literally. It was fantastic, and all your relationships on stage are incredibly authentic, even though obviously you're married in real life, but even acting as husband and wife, and your romance and everybody's, they are really beautifully portrayed characters. And so chocks away, enjoy your run, and I will see you on first night, and bon chance and break legs, and thanks for sitting in and having a chat.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye guys.
This is a real Putney Theatre Company production. Do share the podcast with your friends and take a look at our website, searching online for the Putney Theatre Company. So that's it for now. See you next time.